What up, everybody? Welcome back to JFabe Wrestling. We're still on the journey to rebooking every WrestleMania. This time we're looking at WrestleMania 32. WrestleMania 32 took place April 3rd, 2016 in Arlington, Texas at the AT&T Stadium. The attendance was 80,709, but I believe they did announce it as over 100,000 or something like that they broke the record. But I'm just reading on Wikipedia, so to be honest, I don't even really know. And here was the show. On the pre-show, we had Kalisto defeating Ryback to retain the United States Championship. We have Team Total Divas, Alicia Fox, Brie Bella, Eva Marie, Natalya, and Paige defeat Team Bad and Blonde. It was Emma, Lana, Naomi, Summer Rae, and Tamina. We had the Usos defeating the Dudley Boyz in a tag team match. And this is the opener for the main card. Zack Ryder defeating Kevin Owens, Dolph Ziggler, The Miz, Sami Zayn, Sin Cara, and Stardust in a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. Chris Jericho defeating AJ Styles. The League of Nations, Alberto Del Rio, Rusev, and Sheamus defeating The New Day, Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods. Brock Lesnar defeated Dean Ambrose in a no-holds-barred street fight. Charlotte defeated Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks to win the inaugural WWE Women's Championship. The Undertaker defeated Shane McMahon in Hell in a Cell. The stipulation was if Shane won, he would get to run Raw. Baron Corbin won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, last eliminating Kane. In a surprise match, The Rock defeated Eric Rowan in 6 seconds. And in the main event, Roman Reigns defeated Triple H to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. So yeah, guys, this is the card here. And honestly, this was one of the worst WrestleManias. It went super long here. The only bright side would probably be the ladder match. It was a lot of fun, that ladder match. Zack Ryder winning was a nice surprise. And Jericho and AJ was really good as well. And I also give credit to the women. Their triple threat match was great there. Charlotte, Sasha, and Becky Lynch. And it was a cool moment to have the women's championship back. But the other big matches did not deliver, in my opinion. Brock and Dean Ambrose was very, very underwhelming. It's probably due to Brock, he was probably preparing for UFC, so he didn't want to do a lot of bumps and do a lot of stuff there. And I think even Dean Ambrose mentioned that Brock, he didn't really want to work with Dean in terms of, coming up with cool spots for the match. Undertaker and Shane goes 30 minutes, just not a good match here. Stipulation is really weird as well. And considering that Shane lost and he still got to run Raw, was kind of what's the point of this? It's just definitely a weird Undertaker match as well. Again, the spot where Shane jumped off the cell, that was cool though. I'll give Shane a lot of credit for that. The Rock segment just went a little too long with, him using the flamethrower to put fire on his name. And yeah, the match with Eric Rowan, probably not needed there. And then Roman Reigns, Triple H goes 34 minutes. This has already been a long night, so, this should have probably been a squash. Roman squashing Triple H. And the fans definitely were not behind Roman, so yeah, just not a good card in general. And yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of ways to improve it. So let's get into my card right now. All right, guys. The first match I have is the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. In real life, this was only a 20-man Battle Royal, but I'm sure I'm going to get 30 people here with the way I'm cutting people off the card. Well, not off the card, but making these matches, with less people. So, yeah. Baron Corbin won this, but I'd probably actually give this to Dolph Ziggler here. I thought he really deserved it. He had a great year. 2014, 2015, he kind of cooled off. I think this would have been a nice way to give Dolph some momentum, especially considering they were going into the brand split and Dolph was on SmackDown. So, yeah. And I was cool with Shaq and Big Show. They had a great confrontation there. It was cool to see Diamond Dallas Page in the match as well. And Tatanka. The only bad thing is they didn't give a lot of these guys entrances. It felt really rushed and the prestige of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal was definitely gone at this point. So, yeah, I think in only having 20 people, it's kind of like, where's everyone else? So, yeah, I would have 30 people here. Keep the Shaq, Big Show stare down confrontation the same. Have the legends like DDP and Tatanka, but I would have Dolph Ziggler win it, last eliminating Tyler Breeze. All right, next up we got a 10 women's tag team match here. We have Becky Lynch, Paige, Natalya, Brie Bella, and Emma versus Naomi, Tamina, Alicia Fox, Summer Rae, and Eva Marie. So yeah, Becky Lynch, Paige, Natalya, Brie, and Emma, they all have submissions, so I would call them like the submission squad or something like that. I know there was some controversy as, the PCB was formerly known as a submission sorority. So, and then we got them versing Team Bad. And yeah, I would actually give Becky Lynch here to win over Naomi. Becky could hit the disarmor and get the win here. And the build is very simple. These girls are all about wrestling, and Team Bad, they're all about, the fame and trying to prove that who's the baddest. And so yeah, there's a definitely nice contrast here. It gets all these women on the card. Becky Lynch, I know she was in the triple threat match, but I think this is a good consolation of having her get the win for her team here. And yeah, it also, gives Naomi a spot here after her great work in Team Bad. So yeah, it should be a solid women's match. All right, next up we got the World Tag Team Championship match. This will be a ladder match. We got the New Day versus the Lucha Dragons versus the Dudley Boyz versus the Usos. So in this build here, the New Day would still be heels. I would turn them face the next night on Raw. I'd actually turn the Usos heel on the Lucha Dragons. They could have like a tag team match. And the Lucha Dragons could win. The Usos could snap and attack the Lucha Dragons. I would keep the Dudley Boyz face. I know they turned heel, kind of aligned themselves with Triple H, but I'll keep them face here. And yeah, the New Day have been cheating all three of these teams, so they made like a four-way ladder match. And it kind of makes sense here if you kind of look at TLC. The New Day were kind of like the Edge and Christian of the group. And the Lucha Dragons are kind of like the Hardys. And I'd say the Usos were kind of like Edge and Christian, kind of like jealous of the Hardy Boys. And then you add the original Dudley Boyz in this match, and I think it should be great. They had a similar match here at TLC. I would save that match for here. That's when Kalisto did his finisher from the top of the ladder through the ladder bridge. That was amazing. And yeah, this was like the only WrestleMania the Dudley Boyz got to be in since their comeback. So I definitely want them, featured. Having them on the pre-show, I thought, wasn't really cool, wasn't really fair to them. And yeah, I think this would be a great match, and I'd have kind of the similar finish that will happen at TLC with Xavier Woods getting involved here. And I believe he threw like his trombone at one of the people climbing the ladders, and the New Day were able to retain. So yeah, I'd keep that the same, and I think this would be a really, really good match. Next up, we got a 6-man tag team match. The Wyatt family versus the League of Nations. Unfortunately, Luke Harper was injured here. And on the Real Show, Bad News Barrett kind of played like the manager role. So I'd have the same thing here. So the feud would be simple. League of Nations, obviously they aligned themselves with Triple H and the Authority. I would have Dean Ambrose win the Royal Rumble. I'll get to that later. And at Fastlane, it's Dean versus Triple H. If Dean wins, he gets the main event match. And then I'd have the League of Nations, attack Dean Ambrose while the referee's down. And then you just hear the Wyatt family, that sound that they make when they come. And then the lights go out. Wyatts are in the ring. And they brawl with the League of Nations, and this eventually helps Dean Ambrose get the win there. And the Wyatt family, the feud is simple, The Wyatt family could talk about, the authority being corrupted, and that, they have this fake League of Nations here when I have the whole world in my hands. This is more than a nation. I have the whole world. And the League of Nations could talk about how, we all won world titles before. We're not scared of the Wyatt family. So, I think this would be a good match. And I definitely give Bray Wyatt the pin here over Sheamus. Sheamus could go for the Broad Kick, and he could accidentally hit one of his teammates. And then Bray Wyatt could hit the Sister Abigail here. I think this would be a fun tag match here. League of Nations are pretty over as a heel because they align themselves with the Authority, and I think this is the right time to turn the Wyatt family face. And I think this would be a really solid 6-man tag match. All right, next up we got the United States Championship match here. I have Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. So yes, I know in real time Kevin Owens was the IC champ, but I'd actually have him be the US champ here. So based on my rebooking from last year, Roman beat Rusev. I'd have Kevin Owens be the one to defeat Roman Reigns here. And he would actually feud with Neville going into WrestleMania. Neville would get injured, right? And Kevin's like, he doesn't care who he faces. He wants a replacement. And that's when Sami Zayn would come out. And he makes the challenge here. And their feud pretty much, speaks for itself. Obviously, the history of them being friends, and then the history of Kevin Owens, attacking Sami Zayn on NXT, and Sami Zayn accepting the U.S. challenge. So I would have Roman have a U.S. challenge instead of John Cena, and he does great. Obviously, he injures himself though. And then I would even keep Sami Zayn returning and eliminating Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble. And Kevin Owens could just talk about how, Sami Zayn has always been a nuisance and he can't get rid of him. And then Sami Zayn is like, you can't get rid of me, Kevin, because I'll never go away. I'll keep fighting, no matter what. And I think they'll have a great match. Obviously, if you give them enough time, I think this will be just like their Battleground match. Which was a very, very good match here. But I would actually give Kevin Owens the win here and kind of build towards Sami Zayn getting the U.S. Championship. And again, I think if you have this match in the undercard, the feud already builds itself, a personal feud, and two wrestlers with great chemistry. I mean, this will definitely, help the card be great. All right, next up, we got the Women's Championship match, Charlotte versus Sasha Banks. So, I would keep it the same. Charlotte defeating Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble after she turned heel. And then she's bragging. Sasha Banks comes out to set the feud here. And, Fastlane, they'll do something different. But Sasha will win the number one contenders fatal 4-way the next night on Raw. And Sasha could just talk about how, Charlotte's been handed everything, and the Divas Revolution, the Women's Revolution, whatever you want to call it, was because of me and what I did in Brooklyn, I think, Charlotte could talk about how it doesn't matter how hard you work because I'm a Flair, I'm just going to be genetically superior to you, and then they could have some promos. I don't know if you guys remember, Sasha also said, the reason you're here is because Ric Flair had a one-night stand. So you could even have that line in there. Sasha and Ric Flair could have some interactions as well. So, and I think, these two had great chemistry here. They had a great match. Obviously, Becky Lynch was in the triple threat match, but I still think this would be a great match here. And I would actually have Charlotte win thanks to help from Ric Flair. I think Sasha, we could build towards, her winning the Women's Championship. And Charlotte, she's still pretty hot as a heel here. So I would continue to build that feud here. And I think, it'd be a great match. And women's wrestling is finally, prioritized at WrestleMania. So it's definitely a cool moment. All right, next up we got the Intercontinental Championship match. I have Chris Jericho defending against AJ Styles. So yes, I'd actually have Jericho be the one to win the IC Championship. Tyler Breeze would defeat Dean Ambrose, and I'd have Jericho defeat Tyler Breeze at Royal Rumble. And obviously that's when AJ also returns. Him and Jericho could have a face-off there. And I would actually have AJ be the one to eliminate Jericho. And the next night on Raw, Jericho says, I ain't mad at you, AJ. I'm just happy that you're here. And they form Y2AJ. Jericho says, let's team up and let's win the tag team championships. And just like what happened, they would lose the match. But I would save that match for Fastlane. I know because they had Jericho and AJ at Fastlane. And they also had it a couple times on Raw. So I would actually save their first match for WrestleMania. So at Fastlane, it'll be Y2AJ versus the New Day. After some miscommunication, the New Day retains, and that's when I'll have Jericho turn on AJ Styles, attack him, put him in the walls of Jericho. He could even burn the Y2AJ shirt. And then he could talk about how, everyone overlooks Chris Jericho for the new flavor of the month. But the problem is Jericho never leaves. He's always here. He'll be a legend forever. And AJ Styles says, he really looked forward to meeting Chris Jericho, but he realized that Chris Jericho is an asshole. And I think they would have a good match. They did have a good match, to be honest. The only thing I'd change here is the finish. I feel like AJ Styles probably should have won that match. Give AJ Styles a win here. And I understand why they give Jericho the win, because they actually had AJ beat him a lot coming into the feud or coming into this match. But like I said, this would be their first time fighting. And I think AJ gets the feel-good win. He wins the IC Championship at WrestleMania. I think it'd be a great moment. All right, next match, we got a street fight. Shane McMahon versus Triple H. Yes. And the stipulation is if Shane wins, he gets ownership of the WWE. I think this was the match to build here. If you wanted like a Shane versus Authority storyline here, Shane versus Taker doesn't make sense, but Shane versus Hunter definitely does. Night after Fastlane, Vince could be handing the award to Triple H and Stephanie, and that's when Shane comes out. He steals their thunder there. Shane, again, he could talk about how, the WWE, he used to love it, but once, the Authority started running it, the WWE sucked. And he says, why you guys suck? Because you guys don't listen to the fans. You guys don't care about what they say. And he's like, he's here to change that. He wants his spot. He tells Stephanie that, I didn't give up my spot to you. I'm still next. And he could just goat Vince into accepting a match at WrestleMania. He could piss Vince off so much that he accepts on Triple H's behalf for the ownership. And Triple H he's like, what are you doing, man? And obviously he's not happy with it, but Vince accepts the match here. And they could have promos where Shane could talk about, why he left the WWE and, why that, why Triple H is here. He married into power. He could talk about that. And Triple H could talk about, how he's not a quitter. He wouldn't quit WWE like Shane. And it could get very personal here. I think this would be a great match. And I would actually give Shane McMahon the win here. Because it makes sense. Because if they were building towards, the brand split, I feel like Shane had to win here. Triple H couldn't afford a loss here. They could do all the fun stuff. This would be a street fight. Shane could do the announce table elbow, and then he could win with the coast to coast. And I think this would be a much better match than the Hell in a Cell match. And definitely we don't need Triple H in the main event this time, in 2016. So, and it just perfectly fits the feud. Shane versus the Authority. And who is the Authority? It's Triple H. All right, next up, we got The Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. Hell in a Cell. So, yes, I saved this match. So, this match, obviously, is happening in my world. So, this match did not happen at WrestleMania 30. And the streak is still intact here. So, I would have actually at Survivor Series, it'd be Team Sting. But it'll be Sting, Undertaker, Kane, and Brock Lesnar versus the Wyatt family. During the match, Brock could F5 the Undertaker, causing him to get eliminated and walk away on his team here. And and at the Royal Rumble, I'd have Roman versus Brock, kind of like a heel versus heel. I'll get to why Roman is a heel later, but that's when Undertaker would come, cost Brock Lesnar the match here. And the feud is simple, Brock says he doesn't give a damn about Taker. And, the reason he F5'd him at Survivor Series was to give him a message that if you mess with me, I'll break your streak. And you chose to mess with me, so I'm going to break your streak. You have Paul Heyman also talk smack about The Undertaker. And he says, I beat you in 2003 when I was a young stud. And you were much younger. Watch what can I do now? With all my experience, with all my, mixed martial art, combat, skills, you got no chance. And he challenged The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Taker says, I accept on one condition, Hell in a Cell. And Brock says, I beat you in Hell in a Cell once, I'll beat you again. So, they could just have a bunch of brawls here. Undertaker could even, tombstone Paul Heyman during the build. And Brock could even attack Kane during the build here. And I think this was the right time to do it because of all the injuries. Obviously, Cena's injured, Randy's injured, Seth Rollins is injured. So, Lesnar, Taker, this is the right time to do it. And I think if you really wanted to sell out this arena, you got to do Hell in a Cell. And you know what? I'd still have Undertaker win here. So to me, his streak would still be going here. I think the moment of Brock, beating Undertaker would be cool, like to see it. But I just feel like, we don't need to give Brock this one. And I think Undertaker will do good. I think, him versus Shane. Shane's probably harder to carry to a better match. So I think Brock could do most of the beat down here. Because in the Shane-Taker match, Taker was kind of the dominant one. But this one, Brock could, take more of the offense here. He could do the comeback spots and get the feel-good WrestleMania win. All right, in the main event, we got the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Roman Reigns defending against Dean Ambrose. Yes, I mentioned before, Roman Reigns was a heel. So this is how I would do it. Seth Rollins obviously gets injured, so it's Roman versus Dean in the tournament finals here. But Roman is Mr. Money in the Bank, so you got to remember that. Dean Ambrose would win the match after countering a spear into the Dirty Deeds. Roman and Dean would shake hands. Roman would leave. And that's when Triple H would come present Dean with the belt. And he'd offer to shake Dean's hand. But Dean would hit Dean would hit Triple H with the Dirty Deeds. And that's when Roman Reigns would return back in the ring, spear Dean Ambrose and say, I'm cashing in my Money in the Bank. Because I actually have Roman Reigns win Money in the Bank. And he cashes in. And Roman becomes the new corporate champion, kind of like The Rock in 1998. Roman becomes the new corporate champion here. And then you could just build it. At the December pay-per-view, I would have Dean Ambrose be forced to fight League of Nations in a handicap match here. And they're just really making it tough on him here. And then they would force Dean to become number one in the Royal Rumble. And I actually would still have Dean win the Royal Rumble match there. And then they make the match for Fastlane, Dean versus Triple H. Triple H says, you know what, if you want to prove that you're the man here, why don't you face me at Fastlane for your title match? And Dean says, on one condition, if I win, I can choose a stipulation for the match. Triple H accepts. And that's when I would have, the League of Nations come in. And then obviously, like I said before, the Wyatt family would come make the save there. And Dean Ambrose would get the win over Triple H. And, Dean Ambrose says my stipulation for the match is The Rock is a special guest referee, so it makes sense there. Obviously, with The Rock and Triple H, they kind of had history from last year's WrestleMania. And with Ronda Rousey, so it makes sense there. Triple H to be mad right there. And yeah, The Rock calls it down the middle here, clean. And Dean Ambrose gets the clean win over Roman Reigns. If possible, I was thinking of, the League of Nations and everyone jumping in. And that's when I would have Seth return, and he's now a face, and he'd help Dean win. But I don't think Seth Rollins is probably ready for that yet. So yeah, I would just have, The Rock kind of clear out League of Nations and Triple H, and Dean Ambrose gets the clean win here. And I think this would be a great WrestleMania moment. So yeah, guys, that is my card. And yeah, let me talk about the improvements I think my card has. All right, first off, I think, I think the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal definitely should have had more people in it. So in my card, they'll have more people in it because I took most of the people out in the ladder match there. And also like the pre-show matches, they're in the Battle Royal. And yeah, I think it'd be a cool moment for Dolph Ziggler to win there. I have the women's tag match here, but I think, the teams here make a little more sense rather than Team Total Divas. I actually have, Becky Lynch leading the team as a very over face there with Paige, Natalya, Brie Bella. Got some great workers there. And, yeah, they have good opponents in Team Bad. And for the tag titles, the tag titles were not defended on the real show, which to me, it's not a good thing. I like all the belts defended. And I have, the New Day still stay as heels here. So, and they have a fun ladder match. I think it only makes sense given the talent. They got Lucha Dragons and the Usos, some cool high-flying teams. And then you got the OGs, the Dudley Boys. It makes sense to have a ladder match here. And the New Day retaining. And then rather than League of Nations versus the New Day, who I felt like New Day should have stayed heel yet, I have the Wyatt family, who I felt should have been a face here, rather than Wyatt family, looking like jabronis to The Rock and John Cena. Yeah, I think this would be a good match here. Bray Wyatt was super over here. And then we have a U.S. title match here. The U.S. title was on the pre-show, so obviously my match is much better. Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. What more can I say? The women's title match. Charlotte and Sasha should be just as good one-on-one. I think it'd be better just for, like having a clear defined one person to cheer, one person to hate. I think it makes sense there. And they're really building towards Charlotte and Sasha, I think. IC title, Jericho and AJ. I think, Jericho and AJ had a great match, and they'll have another great match. And in my feud here, it's their first time, so the anticipation is building. Shane versus Triple H. Once again, if Shane's fighting the Authority, it only makes sense to him to fight Triple H. And obviously Shane versus Taker, way too long, and just a weird dynamic where, you don't want to boo Shane, but you also don't want to boo Undertaker. Here he is clearly defined. It's Shane versus the Authority. Undertaker and Lesnar have their blow-off here, Hell in a Cell match. Yeah, I think this is the right time to do it. Both, with all the injuries, both guys had really no one else to face here. And, yeah, I think it'd be good. And then the main event, Roman versus Dean Ambrose, kind of like a throwback to like the Attitude Era, where Dean is kind of like Austin. He's the rebel that the Authority doesn't want to be champion. And Roman's the corporate guy. He does all the media appearances there, and he's just an arrogant champion. So, yeah, and obviously with The Rock playing a role in this match, hey, it could also build towards Rock Roman. I mean, obviously the controversy going on right now, but yeah, it just makes sense too also to pay off the Triple H Rock segment that happened last year as well. So, yeah, guys, that is my card. Let me know what you guys think about it, and I'm gonna run through my card right now. We have the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. We have Becky Lynch, Paige, Natalya, Brie Bella, and Emma versus Naomi, Tamina, Alicia Fox, Summer Rae, Eva Marie, in a 10 women's tag team match. For the World Tag Team Championship in a ladder match, the New Day defending against the Lucha Dragons, the Dudley Boys, and the Usos. In a 6-man tag team match, the Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt, Eric Rowan, and Braun Strowman versus the League of Nations, Sheamus, Alberto Del Rio, and Rusev. For the United States Championship, Kevin Owens defending against Sami Zayn. For the Women's Championship, Charlotte Flair defending against Sasha Banks. For the Intercontinental Championship, Y2J Chris Jericho versus the phenomenal AJ Styles. In a street fight, if Shane wins, he gets to run the WWE. It's Shane McMahon versus the Game Triple H. Hell in a Cell, we got the Dead Man, The Undertaker versus the Beast Brock Lesnar. And for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, special guest referee The Rock. We got the big dog Roman Reigns versus the Lunatic Fringe Dean Ambrose. So yeah, guys, that is my card. Again, let me know what you guys think of my card, how it compares to the original. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next one. Appreciate all the love and support. Comment, subscribe for more, and peace.